Hey guys, Maction here, and I've got another game to show you. This is called SpaceChem. So SpaceChem is an interesting game where you try to take different elements and combine them together into the prescribed molecule. So on your left side you have your inputs, on your right side you have your outputs. It functions very much like a sort of an assembly line game. SpaceChem is a lot more in-depth than at first you'd think. So, for example, you go ahead and you go through a level, and, it's a pretty straightforward level. You go ahead and you build up your assembly line process. You grab your inputs, you bond them together, or fuse them together, or, whatever the particular recipe calls for, and then you output them off on the right-hand side. One of the things that's very noteworthy about SpaceChem is that after you complete a level, there are, of course, 3 statistics that it takes into account. 1 is how many cycles it took to complete the level. 2 is how many reactors were used. And 3 is how many instructions had to be used. Now, after you've played the game for a little while, you start to learn that you can do things with more reactors, fewer cycles, more instructions, or any combination of the 3. Matter of fact, there is one of the levels that I beat and got a special achievement for, because normally you'd beat it with about 4 or 5 reactors, but I beat it with only 2. However, because I had to really cram all that together, I really had to increase the number of instructions, and as a result, the number of cycles. So, in one respect, my statistics went way down below the average. And in another aspect, my statistics went way up. My quantity of cycles was just through the roof. And you can fool around with these and get yourself a process that does really well but takes a long time, or that takes lots of space but does it quickly. And it's all sort of however you want to play it. One of the fun things is going back and playing a level that you've already played, but trying to cut down those statistics, make your assembly line just a little bit more efficient. Now, SpaceChem, for all of its advantages, has one very large disadvantage, and that is the game was definitely made to be played on PC. Number 1, the text is very small. Half the time, if you've been gone away from your assembly line process for more than a couple of hours and you come back, you might not be able to recognize the difference between a grab and a drop icon, and that can get you into trouble sometimes. Also, if you take a look at the fingerprint that's being left behind by my touch, and compare that to the size of any of the given icons, it's just too big. That makes the game very difficult to play. You'll often wind up pulling away an arrow when what you were trying to pull away was an icon, a grab or a drop or a fuse icon. And that can get frustrating after a little while, especially if you've got a very complex system going. And all of a sudden, you moved one of the arrows that you didn't mean to, and now the entire thing just looks like spaghetti instead of a well-ordered machine that you've spent hours trying to devise and build. So, in the end, SpaceChem's a very fun game. It's very enjoyable. It's definitely not a casual game. This is a game to play when you've got time to dedicate. In addition, it also is very difficult to control. To be honest, that's my real only negative on the game, is that it's very difficult to control because of the touch interface. The interface was not reworked when they released it for Android or iOS. In the end, if you are the type of person who enjoys a serious game, a challenging brain teaser, and, more importantly, you do have the time to dedicate to creating a process, and you're not the type that gets frustrated easily, then SpaceChem is definitely a good game to pick up.